So you're working doing med sales,
Yep.
medical device sales, getting into dabbling into some real estate on the investment side.
Yep.
Um, how long were you in the medical device sales industry?
Well, what's wild is, so I was in Pittsburgh for about 5 or 6 years, moved back to Columbus for a quick minute, still in med device sales, and then got an opportunity um, to go back to Pittsburgh actually. And then I was the director of sales. I got into management actually, and so I got out of kind of the rat race
Yeah.
and got into more management with a startup company. And you know, I was doing that, and I'm now married. I have a kid on the way. I had a previous life, and that previous life ended. And what's wild is we had to call an agent to sell a house, and
Yeah.
this is step two of getting into real estate. Is had an old farmhouse outside of Pittsburgh, beautiful, fix it up, bought it on a foreclosure, fix it up. Took like a year to fix up. And you know, when that part of my life was ending, we had to sell it. So we called this agent. She was like the Sandy Rains of the area, right? I mean,
Yeah.
she was doing the most deals. Her advertising was everywhere, and it was a tough house just because, you know, farmhouses, those rooms are small, and you know, we
Right.
I was never thinking about leaving. In my head, I wasn't thinking about like resale. I was just
Right.
like, I love the land and blah blah blah. So it took about 9 months to sell this house, and she was awful. She
Mm.
was so bad at her job and communicating. And at the end of that, when I was moving back to Columbus, I said, I'm going to do this because if she can have that life for her, I know what I can do for myself. Right. And I had always wanted to be in the real estate. Like I was reading more, I was listening to podcasts, I had buddies in it. And so it gave me an opportunity in my life when I was moving back to Columbus to kind of rip off the band-aid and be like, okay, I'm going to go in it. So right before I quit my job, the pandemic hit.
Okay.
So I got licensed in the fall of 2019.
Okay. And that all is at the same time that you're
Well,
all
it
of this
was
is
that had happened like a year before, and then
okay.
as I was transitioning because I couldn't sell the house, I was transitioning back to Columbus, and
Yep.
I, you know, took all the classes through the summer, and I was doing everything online, so because I was just
Yeah.
trying to turn and burn, which is the worst way to probably do this. Um, in 2019, I got my license, and then I was going to join a team, kind of January 1st.
Yeah.
So I joined the team getting ready to quit my job, and the pandemic hit.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh my gosh, like, you know, nobody knew what was going to happen. Right.
Right.
So I was
Right.
like, I'll keep the job because I'm working from home now. I'm not traveling. I'll get
Right.
in the real estate. And, you know, after a successful year for, you know, real estate in 2020, it was just time to just rip it off. So honestly, I've only been in real estate full time since March of 2021. Believe it or not.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
So so when you decided to make that jump into the real estate side, obviously
Yep.
the plan was just rip the band-aid off and go in, and then obviously,
Yeah.
pandemic happened, so you kind of pumped the brakes a little bit. Was there, other than your friends and other people around you getting into it, was it simply just that agent was so bad that you're like, man, this is probably going to be a somewhat uh, easy career for me to transition into?
I think she played a big part in it, right?
Okay.
Because I had some really good friends in the Pittsburgh area. One of them, he's a top five agent in the state of Pennsylvania, in
Wow.
Pittsburgh. Like he's massive. And I had become really good friends with him, and we were just talking about real estate nonstop. And then I had some buddies that were in the commercial real estate space, and so like I just felt like I was always around it, talking about it, learning about it, and I always knew I wanted to get back in the investing side um, of doing real estate. And so I think she was kind of like the final straw in a way, you know, like she had, I mean, literally, she had done so much business, it was hard not to want to hire her, right?
Right.
And
Right.
so, it was just like a wake up call, like, okay, like if she can do that much business and she's kind of this is how she runs her business. Well, I've been in business for a decade or two. at a
Yeah.
pretty high level. I've worked at a startup where I had to do the marketing, customer service, run a sales team. I feel like I can do this at a pretty high level quickly.
Yeah.
All I got to figure out is like system processes and like find a niche and then go 100 miles an hour at it. And that's kind of what I've been able to do a little bit. But the business world really helped bridge the learning curve, if I would say,
I honestly think that's one of
by
the,
by like 5 years probably.
oh, I'm sure by more than that. I think most of us, myself included, if I didn't, I tell people all the time, if I didn't have my mentor from day one, I would not be in real estate. I would not
Yeah.
be in 11 years later. I didn't have the sales. I didn't understand business. I didn't understand how to attract clients. I didn't understand any of that.
Yeah.
And so that's what I tell people. Like, part of why I like giving back and helping, newer agents get in, is because I know I'm lucky. I know I was lucky in that regard.
Yeah. For
And
sure.
in your case, right, like most of us, we don't understand how to run a business, how to set up a business, right? We don't
Yeah.
understand, how to go get clients. And you had both of those backgrounds.
For sure. Yeah. And it definitely helped. And also, I knew from the beginning if I was going to do it, I needed to invest in some tools. So, like, I got into coaching. I hired a coach right away after my first year. And
Yeah.
people view that as a major expense. And it is. It's an expense, but it's the best investment. And it, you make that money back tenfold.
Yeah.
And so I invested in that. And then I also knew that just everything that I was learning is video and social content was going to be the driver. And so from the day one, a buddy of mine, do you follow Life in Columbus?
I don't.
Instagram handle Life in Columbus.
I
So it's
don't.
just like a big account about Columbus, and he runs it. And him and I kind of partnered up, and he kind of showed me how to run Instagram. And so
Okay.
then I just became obsessed with learning social media. Whether that was Instagram or YouTube or Google, I that became my niche.
Yeah.
And so when I got into it, it was like, okay, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do it at a high level because I don't have the sphere that maybe some people do that have grown up here their entire life. I'm not
Yeah.
from here. I didn't live here the majority of my adulthood where you're meeting people out at bars or restaurants or games.
Right.
Um, so I had to figure out how to attract people. And so I think my background of working in business was it gave me the knowledge on like, okay, like this is how you attract customers. This is what you need for good customer success service. These are some processes. If we can get this rolling, then we're going to be okay. And then
Yeah.
when my wife came along, Paige, she's been in the business for 7 years. She was on Marcy Press, Marcy
Yep.
Press. So
Yep.
she was on her team. So when I had her, she was just like kept encouraging me and was like, keep going at it. And she's been like the best support partner, and then when we started the team, we're the team leads, and then just having her experience and her sphere and
Yeah.